Hello there. You were assuming that you clicked the play button and you thought you were going to get just a simple podcast by a simple podcast host by the name of Markell and his assistant Ronnie.
I knew you were gonna say that, but instead you got the smooth mama jamma sounds
Smooth sound, Markell.
of that podcast.
Let my voice tickle your ears. You like ASMR?
You know what? We would have to do that for just the audio version. So otherwise, we got to dress up, play the part. You got to dress up, put on some shades and a nice suit, like.
Like, do you like me with glasses or without?
Oh, without.
So my glasses. The funny thing, I don't know if it's going to show up in the camera, but can you see my glasses, sir?
Says I am Groot.
Also have one.
Like my glasses say Armani Exchange because I'm just
with your welfare glasses.
Because I'm
your welfare.
These are custom made Armani Exchange. These are $4,000 frames, my friend.
Those are straight from BJ's Wholesale Club. You got the lenses and you paid $20 to get your prescription put into them.
Holy shit!
Armani is not fancy anymore. It's
you're crazy. Armani is still the shit. They're still.
But also, let's do a shameless plug for the company I shall not mention that these glasses are from. But let's just remember the fact that both our glasses do the exact same thing, and my glasses were $7. Yeah. My glasses were $7.
Look, $4,000, buddy.
Wow. You're
they were.
Just understand in 2021 there is
these are pure carat gold. These are pure carat gold, top of the line. Nice.
Guys, thank you once again for tuning in. If this is your first time here, because we never know, you might have found out about us from a friend or so.
You might have been Googling like cats playing pianos on YouTube, and you came across Ronnie and Markell.
Yeah, so you might have done that. But this is the Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast show. What do we do here? We basically get into the news and the hot topics of the pop culture world. We are big into comics, movies, wrestling, TV, films. So we dive into the hottest news and dissect it, but we do it a little bit different. There's no script here. This is totally unscripted.
No script, totally unscripted. We give it to you raw.
We give it to you raw, and also we try to make sure that, we don't hurt anyone's feelings, but at the same time, we're not getting paid by anybody. So
look, I don't know about that. We hurt some feelings sometimes.
We don't. No, that's what I'm saying. Our intentions are good.
Yeah, intentions are
good. We're not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but we are going to tell you that we still don't believe that even if you connect Venom 2 or Venom 1 to the MCU, that it's going to make those movies any better. Jumping right into the first piece of news story.
Still trying to make fetch happen. Sony still trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah, there's been a leak online that there was a after credit scene where somebody just got the audio, which is just weird because it's like, why do you just have the audio? I don't.
Well, you got to think about it. If you were at the screening, even though Tom Hardy literally asked everybody to keep, what you see here and you hear here stays here, somebody pulled out their phone like record.
And they walked out the theater. I've got the audio.
Which also you would think that whatever theater that screening was in, they would have took everybody's cell phones. Like I would, one safety precaution they could have done to stop that. But if that audio is true, I'm hoping it's not. And yeah, it seems like they're gonna try to connect Venom to the MCU.
So just to catch you up on anyone out there listening or watching right now, to catch you up on the news if you haven't heard, the big news coming out of the leak, give you a spoilers countdown of 3, 2, 1, is that the after credit scene of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, is Tom Hardy and Venom watching the end scene of Far From Home,
Far
where
From
Jake
Home.
Gyllenhaal, Mysterio, is revealing Peter Parker's identity to the world, and that basically confirms that they exist in the same world. Credits, if Venom says something like "he looks tasty," like something along those lines, you can listen to the audio for yourself. It's all over YouTube and Twitter and everything. But we're here to talk about it and like tell you our thoughts on it, and you can be the judge. Please always do us a favor if you are watching this on YouTube. Do us a favor and pause and leave your comment on certain sections. You can do timestamps because we love to see that as well. And let us know exactly what you thought about any of the topics that you hear here tonight. So don't forget to hit that pause, but also don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.
I was about to say, hit that subscribe button is important as well.
Absolutely. Hit that little bell icon so you can get notifications when new episodes drop as well. This is Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast Show, as we said before.
And I'll go first and say that I hope that this doesn't connect to the MCU, because I, for one, as you already know, didn't like the first film, but it sucked. I'm not afraid to say that I thought the movie sucked. Had it been 1994, I probably would have thought that movie was dope. But since it's 2021, and I have witnessed Endgame and other dope ass movies with my eyeballs, I need you to come harder when you're bringing a character like Venom to life. So with this sequel, I mean, even with all the action and shit and Woody Harrelson and shit, I saw the trailer for the second one. I was like, meh. I was like the Bulldog and the Looney Tunes. I still was like, meh. I'm hoping, ultimately, I'm hoping that, one, that's not the after credit scene and we get a way better shock-worthy after credit scene. But two, I'm just praying to God that this movie is halfway decent and does both characters justice, Carnage and Venom.
I think they're like leaving bias aside. So going with Venom. So Venom 1, I remember seeing your early screening of Venom 1 on my birthday in October. So anybody out there want to give me a gift, I'll accept.
Look at that. And it's coming out in October again. Look at that.
Coming out October 1st this time around. So only 2 days away from my birthday. And I will be watching this movie again, just because I'm a comic nerd and I love all this stuff. So I got to see it for myself. I cannot take someone's opinion online and just do that. I know we're giving our opinion right now, but just understand that ours is just coming from a place of a person who's actually watched the material and then going to go and give you their opinion, which is
not just speculation from not seeing some shit.
Yeah, it's not like I read someone else's full spoiler review and they spoiled it for me, and then I'm gonna take their rage, add it on to my rage. I'm gonna take that rage and go, I hate it. Not enough of social media. My thoughts on the first movie was, I think that there were some elements that they got right, but overall, I wasn't excited about it because if anyone, let me go ahead and push my glasses here. Anyone remembers Venom's first comic book arc was Lethal Protectors. And it's a series that in the comic world came out with all of the back in the 90s, the foil covers and all the other special covers. And now that book is worth way more than it used to.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have it now, fuck you, because it's probably worth a lot of money.
It may be worth like $100 now, but back then it was like $1 bin story. So Lethal Protectors was something that they borrowed some things from, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably borrow from Maximum Carnage. Ideally, in Lethal Protectors, there was, later on there was some, connection to Spider-Man, but ultimately the story overall was connected to the fact that like Eddie Brock was turning over a new leaf and then, going on and dealing with all of these other symbiotes that come along and become a problem. So these movies seems to be picking, both of these movies seem to be picking from Venom's most significant storylines from the past. I won't say like King in Black because that's like his most recent one.
That's the most recent.
It's picking from there, and it's basically giving you its own version of those stories. The Carnage ones feels a bit forced, which is what makes the second movie for me not necessarily a winner because, and neither one of us have seen it yet, but just based on the trailers, I'm not excited to see this movie. I'm gonna watch it as a Venom fan. and as a comic book fan, I'm gonna watch it to get my own opinion on it.
Yeah.
What do I think of this leak information? I am not surprised. I'm gonna say that right now. I'm not surprised because when
Do you think it's real?
If it is real, it is not surprising only because of the fact that in my mind, at the end, when one who remains, aka Kang, died and the multiverse opened up, that told me that basically it was a free ticket for any Marvel property from any company to basically exist within the same universe as the MCU.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this after credit scene is basically saying that this is the Venom of the MCU, or because we're just hearing the audio, are we basically getting a chance to see? Like I have a theory about this. My theory is that Doctor Strange's whole, or let's say, the whole thing that happened with Peter Parker and Doctor Strange within No Way Home, I personally think my theory is that that spell that he tried to use to make people forget Peter Parker somehow took that event and potentially duplicated it across multiple spider universes. So it's possible, in a far-fetched way, that the imagine this for a second, and I'll get your opinion. What if the Peter Parker that Tom Hardy and Venom are talking about is either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire? Because he could be a Venom that exists. Tobey Maguire had a Venom, so it's kind of not likely there, but both Tom Holland and both Andrew Garfield never had a Venom. So they could easily retcon it.
Tobey Maguire had a Venom.
No, that's what I said. Tobey Maguire had a Venom, but Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland did not have a Venom.
Yeah, they didn't have one. So yeah, it could be potentially that if that scene's real and they're watching TV, they could be looking at They could be looking at Andrew Garfield, or they could be looking at Tom Holland, and they're planning to bring Venom in with all those other villains we saw, like Doc Ock and all those other people.
Here's another piece of something that was very small from a trailer for a movie that's not coming out this year and probably going to come out like February or so, or sometime in 2022, which is Morbius. If anyone goes back to the Morbius trailer, you can actually see in the background that he's walking down the street, and you can see a poster of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man that says murderer.
Yeah.
So that to me makes me feel like that's what my theory is that this spell went across all the universes, and somehow it doesn't necessarily have to happen.
Well, remember too, Vulture showed up at the end of that trailer, so we know that they're trying to connect something.
They're trying to connect multiple, the Sony universe as well as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'll say, I am going to say something that's probably controversial, but I'm going to say that I'm actually okay with it. And the reason I say that I'm okay with it is the only reason I say is I feel like Marvel, this is going back to when Sony tried to recently break bad after Far From Home and said, "Oh, it made $1 billion. Hey, Marvel, deuces, bitches. We out of this bitch."
See ya.
So when they tried to break bad and do that, in my mind, I feel like Marvel and Disney said, we will never let them do this again. So if you noticed, after that period of time, you started seeing the movies come out and they said in association with Marvel. And what that basically said is that now there are deeper conversations with MCU and Sony around these movies. So what basically can happen is the MCU, in my opinion, again, this is another theory coming from Markell here. Another theory that I have is that the MCU is going to basically pull an Agent Smith on Sony. They're going to insert themselves in there. They're going to insert the MCU so deep up the ass of Sony that they're going to be pregnant and having the kid before they even knew anything happened. Okay? They're going to embed themselves within their world.
I can see that happen. I also agree. I'll agree and say that, yeah, I'm not, hell bent. No, I don't want. I'm okay with this happening too. I'm more like that scene. If you remember the old movie, one of the Rock's first movies, The Rundown. Mm-hmm. Remember, he had the scene with the cameo with Arnold, where he passed Arnold, and Arnold was like, "Good luck." That's kind of how I feel with the Sony people merging with the MCU. Good luck. Don't fuck this up.
I'll tell you, you heard it here first. Marvel is trying to slide into Sony's DMs.
Yeah, don't fuck this up.
So deep that they have that there will be no more. Because if you think about it, if they take their glasses and they look at what Sony has, they're going. Sony has the entire Spider-Man library. I want those characters over here. Because what's the one shortcoming that people talk about when it comes to the MCU? When it comes to their characters, what's a shortcoming that they don't have a lot of?
Like good villains.
Who has a treasure trove of villains that connect to a lot of different people? Hey, I wonder if there's a vampire that is in the Spider-Man universe that connects back to a character that they're about to make their MCU live action debut called Blade. You telling me they slide their ass up in Sony like, hey, how you doing? In association, guys, we need help. We got money, we can help.
Well, you know what? I would say it's kind of a foolproof plan, because if you think about it, if they do that, they get themselves so embedded that they can't escape or whatever. Even if Sony still tried to pull free and say, you know what, we're doing our own thing, I feel like Kevin Feige can just go, all right, cool. It's the same thing like in comic book stories. Cool. They'll just create a storyline where, snap your fingers, multiverse is closed. Oh, they closed. Bye, Sony. We'll just be over here doing joke shit still.
What you saying is that the multiverse can easily be wait. Damn, Ronnie,
the multiverse can easily be a closed chapter. Like, they can easily write some fucking storylines to just close this shit and go back to the dope shit we already created. Because at the end of the day, does the MCU need Sony at all?
No.
Not at fucking all.
Wait. I'm gonna tell you just like this. This is how creative that they can be. They can literally, I'm excited about this. They can literally take their own storyline that they did. Do you know how the Ultimate Universe came to an end?
Shit, I forget.
The Ultimate Universe in the comics. There was a comic book series called Ultimatum that brought the Ultimate series to an end. They could easily, if they wanted. Oh, Sony, you want to break bad? You think you could do better than me? You think you could do better?
They can. They can.
Okay. Okay. Ultimatum. Let's cut this whole thing. We gonna cut this whole. Then basically, what they're gonna be like, all right. So all that stuff you saw where we was in association with them, cut it. We done.
But you see, I feel like we were saying before, when at first when Sony tried to cut off the deal originally, just let it continue and let it embed, because you can't. Ultimately, you can't go for it so far. Even with Spider-Man and his own set of villains, you can only go but so far. Because look at the shit that we got. Like, look at Loki, look at Falcon, there's so many shows and so many characters crossing over to different. Like, we saw the fucking Domalaji show up on Falcon Winter Soldier. We see this character. Like, they're literally bringing comic books to life, because you're seeing rumors about, Wilson Fisk showing up here. This person, that is literally what they're doing. So, and you know what that does? What that does to the MCU? it continuously keeps refreshing and giving you fresh content because you never know where a fucking character is gonna show. Like, think about it. The next one coming up is Hawkeye. We have currently, like right now as we speak, you have no fucking idea what characters could show up on that show. The only fucking character we know for sure that is probably 90% going to show up is Yelena from fucking Black Widow. Like, we know she may show up at some, but we have no idea who else may show up during those 6 episodes of that show, or an after credit or whatever. So
the teaser of that trailer actually dropped this week. I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up. That was amazing in watching that because literally the easiest thing to say about it is that they're literally bringing their own version of Matt Fraction's Hawkeye series with Kate Bishop and Hawkeye. Done.
Pretty much.
I don't need. What else do I need to? And let me just say, if you are listening to this or you're watching this, and you are a person who doesn't actually know about the Matt Fraction Hawkeye series, that's okay. That's what they make Barnes & Noble and Amazon for. You can run out, or I'll go ahead and give a free plug to the Marvel Unlimited app. You can pay $99 a year, get yourself a membership, and you get some free toys and shit like that. And then go ahead and read the whole series right then and there. Boom. Or Comixology. I don't know if that was...
Because for Hawkeye, I'm also excited to know that if they're going to dive, maybe not seriously because it's only 6 episodes, but if they're going to dive back a little bit and show us Hawkeye is Ronin. And show us, like, you know, when he was in that dark place for a second with the blip happen and stuff, you know, what the fuck was he doing?
I think it would be nice to see some of it, but you can't necessarily. I'll say this, but I feel like it's going to be really hard to wrap up 5 years of murders with the episode series. So
yeah, no, that's why I said maybe they'll touch on it a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to touch on it a little bit. Personally, for me, I'm going to say this right here and now. I hope that this doesn't happen. Because I know that some people, I would accept it because I'm okay and I love these fucking stories. But my prediction for this show is that I believe by the end of this series, Jeremy Renner, I feel like there's going to be a season 2 to this series. Except for Jeremy Renner is not going to be in that series a lot because of what Yelena does to that dude. I feel like by the end of this series, there's going to be one of those happy-go-lucky moments where this guy is going home and he's going to basically probably get like shot or something and like wind up in a coma or something to put the hero to the side.
Oh yeah, some giant shock factor to leave us hanging.
Factor that happens that puts this guy out of commission for a second, so that the second series can be about her trying to Kate Bishop trying to catch the quote unquote person who tried to take out her mentor. And that's going to sort of lead to this whole new adventure because the reason I also say that is my prediction is that if you know the series after the first volume, it is a lot more focused over towards Kate Bishop in terms of like Hawkeye's still there, but like there's other things that happen. And I know, you know, people are out there and be like, oh my God, I thought this was about it's about Hawkeyes. Okay. There's multiple Hawkeyes in the goddamn series. I understand that you're not there, you know, anybody.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. That's embedded in the title. That's like a play on words with the title. Same thing like Loki. Loki wasn't just about Loki. It was about Lokis. So
it's in the title. Like I don't know what it's in the title.
So I mean that was kind of a given after the first episode. So yeah, I'm thinking the same thing about Hawkeye. Ultimately, Hawkeye as a show I feel like its main purpose is to introduce Kate Bishop. That's it's got all the other storylines and stuff going on, but it's to introduce Kate Bishop because we can see clearly if you don't even got to be a comic book pro to see that they're setting up the fucking Young Avengers.
For me, what I love, and this is why I'm okay with them trying to set this thing up. The thing that I love about this is that each of the Young Avengers that we've met so far are not seasoned heroes.
Yeah, they're not seasoned. And then take it one step back too. Like with Sam Wilson becoming Cap and stuff, I believe they're setting up the new Avengers and they're setting up the young Avengers.
Wait, this is like that black dude you see online doing the meme.
Yeah. It's just what it is.
What else do you want? Like, I don't know. I'm not.
But it's all great. But it's all great. I'm here for all of it. Like, if like I always say, like, if you go in the time machine and tell like my 15-year-old self, like, all the shit you want from these comics, like you want all the shit live action, it's all gonna come to life. And of course, I know my younger self would say, who the hell is this grown-ass man in my room? Ah, mama! But of course, after that, then I'd be like, holy shit, really?
I mean, we've seen enough comic books if we looked at the person and said, like, oh, okay, you are older than me. Tell me more.
Now, you can't tell me that you wouldn't be freaked the fuck out if you now came to your, like, 13-year-old self in the past, like, hey, I'm you. You'd be like, oh!
One thing my younger self would say, oh, we grow a beard?
Yeah. And me, high school me would be like, are we still a virgin in the future? And be like, no. Yes! I'd be like, yes!
You will repopulate the earth with the amount of children. But yeah, I think the big thing here, like, I know we went from Venom, we're still in the Marvel universe.
We're still in the Marvel.
Hawkeye. I'm looking forward to Hawkeye. I am looking forward to Venom. I will say right here and now, and I've said it before, I don't have a lot of hope for that movie, but I will go into it and watch it with an open mind, seeing what this director can do in 90 minutes.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm wrong. Hopefully I go in this movie and my jaw drops and it's just fucking awesome. Because I love to be proven wrong when I think a movie is going to be bad.
Let me ask you a question before we move on to our next topic, which is still Marvel. But we if you could have somebody appear, either first appearance or a like cameo in this Venom movie, who would you want it to be? Because I have a person. I'm just curious what your person is.
Who I would want to show up in this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I mean, it would be cool if they set up some of the other the other symbiotes, like the more not so known ones, maybe like an after credit, or seeing as how we still don't know if the whole Null storyline is actually being brought to life. It would be cool to see if something along that element, like, they show us another dimension or another, so, because I was thinking that with the whole, the thing about Shang-Chi with the rings and the beacon, something super old. Like, I'm already like, could that have something to do with, like they're going ancient old, and then thinking about this whole Null guy, he was basically like the beginning, darkness. So it would be cool if they kind of tied that and Venom, the last host, and a bunch of other shit together. So
your person is Null.
Yeah, Null, or what the fuck was this? I forgot what the new symbiote they made in Venom, the first host. I forgot remember they went back, they took it back.
They got they have Sleeper. There's another. Yeah, there's the green and black one. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but if I think of it.
I know that's a thing. The only thing that I would not want to see just yet are the offspring of Venom and Carnage just yet. Only because
it looks like we're getting what's the black chick that's in the trailer? It looks like we're getting this chick, Screech. Shriek. I said Screech. So it looks like they're gonna try to do something with other.
Well, she's not a symbiote.
Oh, she's not?
No, she's not. She's not a symbiote.
You don't think she's gonna get the symbiote on her? But that movie looks to me, when they showed her doing the Shriek thing, I was like, that looks so predictable that somehow some drop of symbiote's gonna get on her or something.
Again, I'm not sure she's gonna become a symbiote.
I'm hoping I'm wrong, but
I know Shriek is a character in Marvel that has like the abilities to basically manipulate people as well. Like I'll go ahead and pull her up for you. That's Shriek. That's what she's gonna become. That's not.
No, that's not. No, that's not who I was thinking of. There's another female Venom character.
You're thinking of Scream.
Scream. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking. Maybe she was gonna become. Like I was thinking maybe she'd get somehow the symbiote would attach to her and she'd become that character. That seems more, especially in a cheesy version of the way this film looks like that's more likely to happen than to her becoming the person you just showed me.
Yeah, Shriek is. Let me see. Sorry, they got the. I love how they got the power card info here. Looking on Marvel.com. First lady, Sandra Deal. Sandra Deal does not become Scream, but she could become Scream in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, when it's comic book movies, they switch stuff around. And when they showed her in the chambers, like in the was it Ravencroft, I was like, yeah, this potentially looks like somehow a symbiote will get attached to her and she'll become some version of.
I mean, you could if you want to, but like I said, her big thing is the manipulation of people's emotions. So people in fear and people in anger, she manipulates them and she can use them to be controlled. That's her abilities. Is one of her.
That sounds dope. That sounds dope in the MCU. But in this cheesy version, I'm like, I guess we'll see what it's. See what happens with her. It almost seems like what the hell is the character? I forget his name. The terrible villain from the first Ghost Rider.
That was Blackheart.
Blackheart.
Villain, but
he's a good villain, but not that version. He had such cheesy dialogue. Oh my god.
While I'm at it, I'm just looking at the Venom 2 cast just to make sure that she is playing who I think she's playing. Let me see. Venom 2 cast. She is playing because Donna D. Let me see. She is playing Shriek. Yeah, she's playing Shriek. Naomi Harris. She's playing Shriek.
Naomi Harris.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Wait, that's Naomi Harris?
Yep, that's Naomi Harris. Naomi Harris, or anyone who may not be aware, has been in quite a few things. I'm trying to think of what I remember her from.
She was in the James Bond movies.
Oh, that's right. Yes. She was in a James Bond movie.
And who could forget? She's also in the Pirates of the Caribbean. She was what's the name's love interest. Yeah, that her name? You can't forget her. She's a very memorable character in those movies.
Calypso, like I think that was her name in there. She was like a witch or whatever, like a sea witch. Yeah. Oh, I forgot her in there. But okay, so she's been around and she's a famous actress. But no, she is not. From what I can see, I don't see her becoming Scream because that's a whole nother symbiote. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think this movie needs it for. Screen,
you know, like this is the thing. You know for a fact, and it's almost like it's like I'm not saying it's a fact, but it's like in a movie with symbiotes fighting people, it's always like there's always gonna be a drop of symbiote somewhere that gets on something. Like even in the first Venom movie, did more people become a symbiote for a second besides just Venom? Eddie Brock, yes. Even his fucking girlfriend was wearing the symbiote suit for a second. So I feel like they're probably gonna do the same thing in the sequel. And then you have Carnage, who's even crazier than Venom, running around throwing shit. If his symbiote gets on a part of somebody else, it can create some other shit too.
Totally possible. I'm whatever they decide to put together here. My person that I was looking that could be another hero would be Jessica Drew, which is AKA Spider-Woman. You can easily just introduce her somewhere along the lines of being in here.
Oh, I can see that because that kind of went dark with what's the name from Booksmart? Olivia was it Munn? Olivia Munn or Olivia Wilde?
She's still working on some female Spider-Man movie, which we don't know what female character from the Spider-Man universe it is.
I think it's either Spider-Woman or it's Gwen Stacy. That's to me. or live action Gwen Stacy?
Personally, for me, I would say I would probably go a little bit left field and go Black Cat. I would go left field and go Black
It's
Cat.
Olivia. It's Olivia Wilde. I always get Olivia Munn and Olivia
Wilde. I'm sorry, Olivia Wilde.
Oh,
Yeah. So there, I would go left. I'm gonna go left field and go Black Cat because Black Cat, to me, if you do it right, it can be a combination of like a John Wick style fighting movie mixed with Ocean's 11, because she's a thief who's really good, but also at the same time she can kick your ass, and she wears a cat suit and she looks good in it. So you combine all of those things, those elements together.
Doesn't she actually become a love interest of Spider-Man at some point?
That is correct. That is correct. Yes, she does. So you, but see, now here's the thing: Felicia Hart has a compelling enough story on her own that her story does not require. Let me change that. Her story will make sense without Spider-Man. I won't say require because people will be like, well, Venom's story doesn't require Spider-Man. It just makes sense, but
yeah, it makes a lot more sense.
Another thing where just some random thing came out of
because that's why I was saying, like, if that after credit is real, that's so like it's kind of stupid. Oh, he looks tasty. Okay, so that's the introduction. Like, what's your? That's not really a real reason to go after Spider-Man to me. Like, if that after credit is real.
Let's say, for instance, this thing is real, right? Let's say, for instance, this is real. If it's real, here's my speculation for how Venom inserts itself into a Spider-Man. So if Tom Hardy and Venom, the way that they've written this particular relationship of Eddie Brock and Venom, if they see that this kid has been revealed as a murderer and they get an idea that they don't think it's correct. One, Eddie Brock is an investigative journalist, so he wants to get to the heart of the matter. So this big story, which is Spider-Man's identity revealed, he flies over to New York and he uses Venom to figure out where Spider-Man is, where he's hiding, and this and the other, and basically tries to go and investigate this guy. But the problem is he looks like Venom. So he shows up looking like, he shows up trying to basically be like this investigative person trying to figure out if Peter Parker really did kill Mysterio. That can easily be one of those like, hey, I'm showing up, and it's like, yo, man, you don't want none of this. Like, you might think I'm just. Like, wait a second, you don't want none of this.
And by the way, I know I probably like Tolan. I still don't believe that Mysterio is dead. That's just me, and it's only because like we know that from him in the comics too, that he's a trickster, and you think one thing, you know what you're thinking. You're thinking what he wanted you to think, because he's off doing some other shit. And he was doing for me, he was doing too much planning at the end of the last movie for him to just die that easy. That's just me.
My thing is, if you go back to that movie, there is a part in there that still doesn't make sense to me, which is he's telling the girl that's helping him with the suit about making sure a certain suit is ready.
Yeah. See, like we never got, and if you think about that, that never went any further. He was asking her, it has to be ready. That's what I was saying. He was making a lot of preparation, including that video to tell everybody Spider-Man, to fuck up Peter's life and tell everybody he's Spider-Man.
I would say the guy that actually walked Spider-Man onto a train track so he can get hit by it, I think that guy's smart enough to figure out how to not die by getting shot to death by one of his own things. Now, again, it could be just as simple as he did essentially wind up killing himself because of the whole thing that happened where like him trying to trick Peter Parker, and it was really trying to blow that kid's brains out. Like that was that.
You know what it is too? It's because for me too, I'm like, if you are bringing the Sinister Six to life, it seems like a missed opportunity to not have Mysterio part of that.
You could, but there's been so many Sinister Sixes. Wait, this is hilarious. I have it over here because I actually was looking for this book for my collection. The Sinister Six. Return of the Sinister Six. Which this Sinister Six is, let me see. Shocker, which we have. Shocker already exists in the MCU. He was in the first movie.
Which, I mean, that's the only thing. If they are bringing the Sinister Six in the next Spider-Man movie, then Sony would have actually done what they set out to do years ago with the Andrew Garfield franchise. Remember, they were planning to do that.
Theory there for a second. Okay, so Return of the Sinister Six, Electro. We've met Electro in a movie before. That was Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
Hobgoblin, we've already met. Spoilers, that's Ned. Right
Yeah.
A version. One of the Hobgoblins was
one version of him.
Okay. You got Mysterio right there, right?
Oh, what do you know, What do you know, Mysterio?
Vulture. We got Andrew Molina coming back.
And don't forget about Sandman. Don't forget Sandman
right there. So basically, everybody on this cover right here has appeared in live action form before, except for Hobgoblin, which we will see at some point in time. If you want to be technical, you can call James Franco's.
I mean, who knows? There's so much potential for this movie, and I think that just like the film Drag Me to Hell, I think that this movie is going to potentially stick with the title of the film, which is No Way Home. You know, like the last movie, Homecoming, and I think it's going to stick with that. No Way Home, Homecoming, Far From Home. I think it's gonna stick with that, which is like, I don't see this movie having a happy ending. I think it's gonna be kind of another cliffhanger. That's just what I think.
I will say for No Way Home predictions, I don't believe that No Way Home is going to be left on a cliffhanger. I personally feel like all of the titles of the MCU collaboration with Sony movies, these trilogies, all of their titles have been related to Spider-Man returning to the MCU or returning to Marvel in general in live action form. Homecoming was the homecoming of the character. I know he made his first appearance in Civil War, but his first solo hero homecoming was this one. Far From Home is because from between Homecoming and Far From Home, there was a bunch of shit that this guy was in 2 Avengers movies since those 2 and literally left Earth. So this guy is far from the Homecoming period that he was at.
Now we have No Way Home.
Oh wait, let me use Samuel Jackson's line for a second. Bitch, you went to space. That's how far away from home this guy. Now No Way Home to me seems like more of a, and this is my prediction, but I think it's more of a, he's not returning back to Sony in that way. Like, there's no returning back.
But I mean the character too. I feel like the title No Way Home also says this movie's not going to turn out the way you think. Like Peter Parker, like getting everything back together and concealing his identity. This shit ain't happening no time soon, bruh. This is gonna be a whole. Because think about it. I mean, ultimately, Spider-Man comics, Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, deals with a whole bunch of shit. Every time it's almost like every time he tries to put a Band-Aid on some shit, here comes somebody else, and shit just gets worse. So,
I would say what would be sort of a satisfying but not so great ending, but satisfying, would be if they fix everything and Doctor Strange's spell does go through, and basically he goes through, but with one caveat, which is the people who knew before don't know now, which is Ned doesn't know, Mary Jane doesn't know, and his aunt doesn't know, and it basically brings him back to square one. Like, it brings Spider-Man back to square one, which is, I have this secret life that I want to be able to share with my friends and family and the closest people to me. And I'm going to now basically have to make the decision of, based on what happens to these people, I have to recognize whether or not it is safe for them to know this, because them knowing this information can be dangerous to them. And this movie can show how dangerous it is for Aunt May, for Mary Jane and for his best friend Ned to actually know that he is Spider-Man, that's how dangerous it can be. So it could be one of those things where a hero has to give up something that's gonna hurt, but it's for the betterment of those people. Like for those people to actually have better lives. Because like, and I'm just taking that little piece of it and I'm like pulling as much as I can with the taffy.
It makes sense. I mean, that kind of goes back to the Tobey Maguire movies, because if you remember in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, he was his character was that. He was alone, and he didn't really have anybody to tell his secret to. He couldn't tell Mary Jane why he couldn't be with her, or Harry, or, he had something you have to bear alone as a hero.
He had to bear that alone, and like I like the dynamic of them knowing, because it like gives them that kind of going.
Well, then again, I won't say 100% alone, because the Avengers know who he is. So I mean, you have somebody. You got Nick Fury. You got some of them.
It almost comes to a point where it's like it's. I know you really want to not have any secrets from the people you love most, like your friends and your family, but it's essentially better for them to not know, because I feel like the little clips of this movie where they were showing Aunt May and Ned and Mary Jane or MJ sitting in interrogation and being friends and family, of like knowing what, like, think about it like this, like what could happen to, like, if you were a superhero and you're in your own family, what could happen to your kids and your spouse if they were known to be the kids of you? Let's say you had the powers like Superman. What were they known to, like, who, how many?
First and foremost, even putting villains aside, they might have to deal with fucking paparazzi. Now my daughter's going to school and there's news cameras in her face. So what is like growing up with a superhero? Does he fly at night? Can he see through walls? And you're like, what the fuck? I'm just trying to go to school type of stuff. So.
Think about that in terms of like Mary Jane. Like she's just like, so what is it like sleeping with Spider-Man? Like,
yeah, can he last longer than a regular man?
So, and then you think about the aunt too. Like the aunt, thinking about her, and I feel like I hope that we're having a conversation that we don't even know Marvel had, and it's like Kevin Feige is just like, that's cute.
Yeah, that's cute. Like, but yeah, well, I mean, how many years of speculation have we done going back to the Saw movies, and we were 100% wrong. Kevin Feige watches this like, these guys are cute, but they're 100% wrong. All right, guys, let's go.
Like interesting is that when it comes to comics, especially all of these characters who've been around for like over 80 years, there's so many different stories that you can pull from that you can just borrow a little bit. And if you just take, it's like, it is almost equivalent to an unlimited buffet. They could go over and sample a little bit of the Spider-Man from 1988.
Yeah.
You know what? If I added a little bit of paprika to that, that would make a whole new thing.
I'm wondering too. I'm wondering too, going forward with all this multiverse, how much are they gonna tease us? Because I feel like at some point too, there's gonna come a film or a show that just has cameo after cameo that teases us and shows us this person exists, says this, does this, and you're just like, what is happening?
Speaking of that, that's a perfect segue to a quick little review I wanted to do for What If episode 6, which always ponders the question, which I absolutely love. Which
you ponder the question. Like the Watcher.
You know that's Jeffrey Wright, right? That's Jeffrey.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, I mean, you come on, you got to know his voice. And I swear that always gives me it always makes me think of Twilight Zone too. Those intros.
He has that voice. He does have that voice. Now, do you know what the 6th episode is about?
I know it's about Tony Stark and like, what if the scenes from the first movie never happened? Like if the 10 rings didn't get him and he didn't wind up in the cave and stuff, and Killmonger saved him. But I still have to watch the rest of it. I haven't watched the rest of it.
So just a quick little thing over there. Yes, you're absolutely right. So the events start out the same way the first movie starts out, with arrogant Tony Stark's essentially showing off the Jericho missiles and then they get attacked by the 10 Rings. But somebody is there to ambush the 10 Rings, which is Killmonger. He ambushes the 10 Rings and kills them, and literally saves Tony Stark's life by throwing that Jericho mission away.
Only thing I wanted to say about Tony Stark is did Robert Downey Jr. not play the voice of Tony Stark just to keep it meta at the fact that his character's dead? Like I would just love to ask Kevin Feige that. Like I wonder if that's why they chose. I mean, because I'm like, I don't see, unless Robert Downey Jr. is busy with another project, I don't see why he wouldn't have voiced himself, unless they just wanted it to be that meta that, okay, Iron Man in the live action died, so we're not going to have you voice Iron Man.
Here's what I'll say, right? I don't think it's the reason for his character dying, while that is a nice meta theory, which I approve. I think that it's more along the lines of the guy who does the voice of Iron Man in these shows is the same guy for almost a decade who has been doing all of the animated voices of Iron Man. So this kind of makes sense if you got an animated.
Oh, is it? Because I know I had looked him up. I know he does like Kung Fu Panda and some other stuff.
Well, no. I mean, but if you just focus on Iron Man, this guy has done Iron Man's the Earth's Mightiest Heroes Iron Man. He's done Avengers Assembles Iron Man. He's done almost every animated incarnation.
I know he has, but for me, I guess I'm just that. I'm like being that much of a stickler. You can still tell that it's not exactly the same. Like it's not. Still not. He doesn't. I'll give him that. His voice is close to Robert Downey Jr., but it's just not Robert Downey Jr.
But my question to you is this: how many of the other animated properties that they've had with Iron Man have you watched?
I've watched some of them. I have no idea because there's so many. I don't remember.
There's like 3. They've only really been doing it since about 2008. Like they've only really been doing it.
only 2008. Like you're acting like that's 3 years ago. That's a long ass time ago.
You know what I mean? Like they've only done 2 series. I did the Earth's Mightiest Hero.
But after seeing Robert Downey Jr. play the character, I feel like it's very hard to hear somebody else doing the voice. I mean, look at Killmonger in the What If. Not only does his version of the character literally, I was like, good job on the animation, and I mean the illustrations, because he literally even looks like to a T like Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, and is voiced by Michael B. Jordan. I'm gonna give you another main reason why. So you got 2 reasons. You got, okay, I'm going animated with Iron Man, and if there's an animated Iron Man that exists, it's like, think about it this way. When they make an animated Batman now, and it's not a younger one, who's the voice? Kevin Conroy. Why? Because he's the animated voice of animated Batman. So it's like, just use the guy that you already have on payroll. But the bigger one here is Robert Downey Jr. is not cheap. So,
yeah, that's true.
I'm pretty
like, you're gonna have to pay me a lot of cheese to do that voice for y'all.
You gonna have to pay me, boy.
You mean to use my regular voice on your show?
Come on, like they don't want it. He could have been busy. There's so many different things it could have been. My main.
But that's what I mean. Like I know he's the executive producer on Sweet Tooth, so I'm wondering if maybe that. And I know he did Perry Mason and some other stuff. So I wonder if maybe he just wasn't available when they did those projects. So they said, all right, we'll just use the guy we've been using.
But again, you got to go back to how many other people do they have that they're using somebody else's voice besides them? And it's not a lot of people. But if you have this person that you've had for more than 10 years, been doing an animated Iron Man voice, and that means that there are millions of kids and adults like myself who've watched other properties, and when I hear that voice, you're right, it does sound like a little bit of Robert Downey Jr.-esque, but it's just close enough.
Yeah, it's almost like listening to those Music Now CDs when it's a cover person doing the song. Right. Yeah, you sound close to Kesha, but you're not Kesha.
Exactly. It definitely does sound close to
But I mean, he still does a good job.
He does a good job. So this particular series, this episode is basically letting you know that ultimately Killmonger is by far, other than on Earth, Killmonger is the greatest villain that MCU has had. And anyone can fight me in the comments or on any social media platform we have. This episode solidifies, spoilers, he kills heroes in this. Easily. Easily. Do you want to know
No, I don't know. I don't want to know. I mean, you can say it for the audience, but I'm gonna cover my ears.
He kills 3 heroes. He kills Iron Man, he kills Black Panther, and he kills War Machine. He's responsible for killing them. Okay, I've said who he killed. So,
well, that's funny. I actually didn't hear what you said. I just saw you going because I was humming in my head.
Go back in. So those particular people that he successfully killed, this whole episode is nothing more than you watching the mathematician, the mind and strategy of this MIT graduate, this kid from Oakland who went to MIT and became a warrior and made his way from Oakland to Tony Stark Industries to Wakanda and got all of the freaking revenge that he was trying to get in the Black Panther movie. Everything. Like there was no.
I like that. I like how they incorporate all the original movies and stuff with the storylines. Like I love how they're doing that too.
So now the only thing I'll say, and this is not really a spoilers, but this is the first episode that ends where people from different episodes come together, or at least from the same episode, they come together because basically Killmonger is running this big front, but there's somebody who doesn't believe that he is as good as he, like the dude becomes Black Panther just like he does in the freaking in the movie. He becomes Black Panther, not exactly the same way obviously, but he becomes Black Panther. But there is somebody within the kingdom of Wakanda that's like, I don't give a damn what he's saying and what my father says. I don't trust this guy. Like I don't trust this guy. And then there's another person.
Is that General Ramonda?
Who?
General Ramonda? Is there a character called General Ramonda here in this episode?
No, not at all.
I'm only saying that because they made I've been collecting all the what if pops. They made a pop of a character called General Ramonda that looks like a character from Wakanda. So that's how I was wondering. Unless that's another episode coming up in the future.
Might be another episode, but no, not this one. This one is you're watching him smoothly manipulate everybody he comes in contact with. Like just in the way of like, yeah, man, I wish I could do this, but damn, there's only one way we could do that.
Oh, the same way
we could do that.
Yeah.
Oh man, you don't want to know how we could do that. No. Tell me how we can do that.
Well, the same way that he manipulated the lady in the museum and in the movie. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take that one.
Guy, he wins the day. I'm watching this, and it only took me like 5 minutes of watching this episode to literally pause and go, so this episode is literally about this episode should be titled Killmonger Wins.
So basically this is another great episode except for the Doctor Strange one. Because for this first season of What If, I'm going to say that's the only one I'm going to go ahead and give 2 thumbs down to. I didn't really like that one at all.
This one wasn't as dark as that one, obviously, but
and I really love the zombie one. That one was pretty different.
Great. This one has such a great element of wow, like what's also cool about this one? They also make this is also another one that they lied to us about. This one is actually the last voice appearance of T'Challa of Chadwick Boseman.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
this is the actual one, not that one. But they didn't want to tell you, like, you know how every week, like around like Monday, Tuesday is when they actually tell you what the next What If episode is. So they couldn't tell you, oh, episode 6 is actually his last whatever, because they didn't want to tell you.
Isn't that, like, just thinking about Chadwick for a second, doesn't that fucking suck? Like, I'm thinking about the history of black people in the genre of superhero. You know, neglected for a long time. We finally get the spotlight. We finally get a fucking, the movie Black Panther comes out. Black Panther crushes numbers, makes history, does all this stuff. And then, as fate would have it, fucking, this guy passes away, unfortunately. I'm like, what the hell? It almost reminds me of when Michael Jackson was doing his rehearsing for his big comeback tour, and then he passed away. Like, what the hell, life?
Here's what I'll say. The great thing about both Michael Jackson and I'm gonna throw 3 people out there that what they built is still has a lasting effect. Michael Jackson, Chadwick Boseman, and Jesus Christ. Like, those 3 people, in the sense of like their lasting effect on the world, in that sense, it's a strong one because of the fact that what Black Panther did for film and cinema and for other actors that are still with us, and the inspirations and the embers. I feel like if anybody's reading My Hero Academia, like currently, this might sound a little bit like a conversation. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a conversation that is had with one of my favorite guys. I'll just put him up in the screen here.
Is that Ronald McDonald?
It's with all
no, I know.
Toshiniro. There's a conversation he has with a person I'm not going to spoil, but he is questioning himself and saying, like, well, like, my time looking like this is over, and now I feel like I wish there was something I could do more to help these new heroes and go forth and do these things. And this person basically tells him, like, what let me be frank and give the hood term. What the fuck are you talking about? You were the symbol of peace for years, and you don't think that you already have created a legacy of what's going to come? The embers of the flame that burns bright for you, like that you've held, the torch that you carry for the heroes that you created when you were there and you were at your highest. Those embers still flicker within all of the people that you inspired and that you made great, and that made them feel very good. And I say the same thing about Chadwick. I say the same thing. I mean, not to be religious and go with like Jesus Christ. I just threw that in there as a joke, but more in the line of like, Michael Jackson, like celebrity figures, Michael Jackson and Chadwick Boseman, the things that they helped create can never be undone.
Yeah, true.
You will never be able to stop what was done with Black Panther. It is in.
Oh yeah, not to mention the doors. Yeah, the doors the door has already open.
The door has been busted off the freaking hinges, and then the hinges fell off too. So you can't even build another door over that. The door is already busted open. So what it's gonna do is basically one of the biggest things I say Black Panther did was show that like the same. I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. If Black Panther didn't come out and do what it did, we would have not gone to the theaters earlier in the month of September to watch Shang-Chi, a movie completely like 98%
of Asian cast.
Is an Asian story that it filled within all Asian cast, which the story transcends just that actual culture to things that we know about, like love and family and stuff like that, and that's what exists within the foundation of that stuff. But
that's the great part about
Shang-Chi, the Marvels, all of the things.
That's a great part about the MCU as a whole, that it's showing diversity out the ass.
Let's also not forget let's also let us not forget, like, Disney is at the helm of this, and Disney doesn't necessarily have the greatest of track records when it comes to a big sense of diversity until proven.
Well, I would say, I'd say in the past, I feel like because they also have a lot of new executives and directors and CEOs who are who are changing the shit out of that narrative right now. Because you look at the movies they're making. What was the other one that they came out with? Luca. Yeah, they're changing that narrative a lot. They're Soul. They're definitely.
Kids, but I know
with Soul, they have another one coming that's focused on I forgot, like another musical, like Latino family or something. Like, I'm just saying, like they are on a nonstop roll to shit out diversity.
The thing is that I just want this to be an ongoing thing that's normal and not while it's hot.
Well, no. Well, I think definitely that's what they're showing us. That's what they're showing us. Like, that's why they're setting up. But think about it this way. That's why they're setting up Sam Wilson Cap. That's why they're setting up Kate Bishop. I may even say that in terms of white people, because we've seen for decades and decades, we've seen a bunch of superhero movies that star white men, not women. So, Juice and Kate Bishop and Squirrel Girl or whoever, that also opens the door for more female lead stuff.
Absolutely. The thing for me is, yes, I agree. When you start telling these stories, that people start getting. So I'll say it just like this, and that'll be my thought on this whole particular topic. But my whole thought on this is that companies spend their money on things that they have shown to be a proven success. Like, for them, that's nowadays they're taking more risks because, hey, guess what? If Black Panther made me $1.5 billion, I can take all the risk I want.
Oh yeah, you can take all the risk, but I will say that I think that it's definitely the best time ever right now, because other companies are following suit. I don't think it's just a trend, especially if the movie's a good quality movie, but it's also like looking at stuff like Netflix, Kate, and and Milkshake, Gunpowder Milkshake, and all these other action movies. There was another one that came out with Kate Beckinsale. They're making all these other action movies that's a woman, and I'm gonna just wait, and then I'm gonna just throw this out there in the air, because I'm like, I don't know if it has happened already, because I don't know her whole biography. But if we haven't had Regina King in an action movie before, I would love to see that. I don't mean like Watchmen. I mean like something similar to that, but like Regina King kicking in doors and kicking ass. I feel like that needs to happen. That would just be
cowboy movie coming to Netflix in like a month. I can't remember the name of it, but she got a cowboy movie where she's
okay. So yeah, because I'm like, when you think about her, like, okay, that definitely should happen.
What I will say though is that also don't be fooled by the man. They're just shelling these things.
No, I'm saying like what I'm saying is what that does is it changes the narratives and it changes the norms of what we see. So now you can't go back and say like, oh well, women don't do that, or we can't really see this. It's like, oh really? Because there's a shit ton of stuff, things coming out and stuff that prove what you're talking about don't make fucking sense.
No, that's not where I was going. I was saying, don't be fooled by the concession of the amount of items that are coming out, that it makes it seem like these things are just coming off of the factory line. Because just like toys sit in a box, they take these movies, they make them, and they sit them on the show. I'm gonna give you.
I know that. No, I know that. But I'm just saying. But if you now, and I'd say in the last 5 to 10, I'd say in the last 10 years alone, especially, content has definitely changed the norm of things. Like, I'm thinking, even fucking BBC made Doctor Who, and they say, you know what, the next Doctor's going to be a woman. I'm pretty sure when that conversation, when they first sat down in a conference room to discuss the next Doctor for Doctor Who, I'm pretty sure that somebody had some resistance when they said, wait, what? A woman?
Let me throw this out here for you for a second. So, production for Kate, which is a movie that I know you're gonna tell us a little bit about. It's an hour and 46-minute fun ride of Mary Elizabeth Weinstein definitely going on a crazy trip, and one of my favorite actors, Woody Harrelson, which we talked about earlier in Venom, is going to be in this. But this movie, let me just ask you, when do you think this movie was filmed?
I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure it was a while ago.
So this movie was filmed about 3 years ago. Okay. So the reason I say that to you is...
Oh, no, I say... No, what I mean is the movie happened in general. Because if you think about it,
I understand.
You know, there aren't a lot of... if you go back 10 years alone and say, throw out all the action movies that star women, with a woman's the lead. Because, I mean, one of my favorites I can remember is still Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis. And how many fucking years ago was that? Because, you know, once upon a time, a movie starring a woman, especially like an action movie, it happened like once every couple years. The
only thing I'm trying to say to you is that keep in mind that these guys watch the trends and they go to their shelf and they go, okay, so I've got 7 female-driven leads. Is that what they want right now? Here you go. I'm just saying, don't be fooled by the.
No. I get.
We got 7 right now.
No, I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is they still count. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, they do. They count because that means that the audience has made a loud enough noise in order for those things to be pulled off the shelf. But the only thing I'm trying to get to is that, as long as it's not a huge number of, it's not the it's not the factory assembly of, well, you know what? It's time to start making some female lead movies. Hit the machine and let the paper flow. It's not. It's movies that get made and then they sit there and go, you know, Mary Elizabeth, right now is not the right time for this movie. We got too many like John Wicks out right now and Jason Statham and Fast and the Furious. I'm going to take this movie right now and I'm going to put this up on the shelf. And when women are hot again, we're going to put this out.
No, I get it. No, I get it. Yeah. Of course, because of
out of this box. Do you don't think there's a black box? There's a black box.
No, of course.
Kevin Hart's doing something. Let's go ahead and get ourselves some black-led movies here.
No, I get it. I'm pretty sure of that. I just mean, at least we know that that's always going to happen, but at least there's a lot more. But what no one can say, I feel like, in 2021 is that there's not a lot more opportunity. That's what I feel like. No, I mean, we still have a lot of strides to go, but at least the progression is happening. You can see it. Like you can say, look, what do you call it? Like we had Wonder Woman 1984, Black Widow, Kate, this, that. Like, you know, if you blink your eyes and go back to like say the year 2000 and try to do that, you'd probably sit there for a few minutes like, oh wait, you mean action movie starring woman? Does X-Men? You'd probably be like, does X-Men count? No, that doesn't count. There was some female characters in it, but I'm talking about where they're just the lead. Oh, okay. Give me a minute. I gotta think.
You're absolutely right that progress has been made to an extent of it has been made to the extent of there are more, you know, black lead movies being there, or any minority or any female.
Oh yeah, any minority. Even not just in movies, even on TV. If you look at, I was thinking that when I was watching, you know, still catching up with The Flash, and I was even thinking that with Team Flash, because I'm like, a lot of women on Team Flash. Like you know, like they have it's Caitlyn and this other chick that can read minds, and then they have the other girls. I'm like, it's like you can see, you know, a lot.
This is what I'm gonna give you. These are the top 20 female-led movies of the last 30 years. And there's only 20 of them.
Oh, really? Oh man, that list is short.
There's Hannah, Captain.
What's like the first? What's like the top 10? What's like the top 10?
Wait, it starts with. It's not in any order, but Hannah, Captain Marvel, Aliens, Wonder Woman 1 and 2, Atomic Blonde, Mad Max Fury Road, Kill Bill, Haywire, Underworld, Crouch a Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Salt, The Hunger Games.
Now wait. Stop right there. Just stop right there for a second. You realize that most of those movies you just named alone, they weren't even that long ago. Like they were in like all those movies were like in the 2000s. They weren't that long ago.
Well, okay, so we get some older ones like Hunger Games. Charlie's Angels is older. That's like 2000s. Laura Croft is definitely 2000s.
I'm talking about, what about something from like the 90s?
Let's see. We got Lucy, Columbiana, A Long Kiss Goodnight, Resident Evil, Foxy Brown, Terminator 2.
Okay, Foxy Brown. That's Pam Grier. That's from the
Star Wars: The Force Awakens, because what's her name?
Oh, you know what? I think Pam Grier. Pam Grier is like one of the first women that like was starred in something that people took serious, and that shit was from like the 70s.
Yep, Age of Tomorrow, La Femme Nikita. So those are the top ones of the last like 30 years.
That's really sad.
You can add in Black Widow and add in Kate, and like I'm pretty sure there's the other thing.
Now, not even having to Google a list at all. This is just like it's funny and not funny at the same time. But if I just ask you the question, how many movies in the last 30 years do you think they made action superhero with a man? It's probably like 4 times that list.
You add another 2 zeros on that.
Yeah.
400 for every one. So basically, what's happening before we move on to you talking about Kate, and giving a sort of spoiler-free, review of it. What basically is happening is over time, the ratio of one female-led action movie or female-led drama or whatever female-led movie to the ratio of males is getting smaller, but it's still a huge gap. So between like the 80s when Ripley was the lead of the movie to 2021 where Black Widow is in the movie and Kate is in the movie, it's went from back then it was like the ratio was one woman led movie to 400 movies coming out that year. Now in 2020, it's about maybe, I'd say, for every 3 female-led movies, there's 150 male-led movies in that sense. So it's like the ratio has changed to like, oh, okay, it's getting to a point where there's actually,
this seems. The scale is, look, this seems hilarious. This seems hilarious as shit to transition from you talking about that to me to talk about Kate, because thinking about it's literally a movie with a woman killing the shit out of a bunch of men. But like quick and simple synopsis for that movie. First and foremost, I gave that movie a 10. Fucking movie is awesome. You described it to a T earlier, saying that the movie is literally John Wick and Crank. If you've seen John Wick and Crank, imagine those movies mixed together in a blender, but instead of a male lead, of course, it's a female lead, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I called it AKA Ramona Flowers kicking ass and taking names, and basically in the movie it's similar to the premise is similar to Hannah. You remember Hannah, where Mary Elizabeth's character is named Kate, and she's been basically since a small child, I want to say like 4 or 5, she has been raised by her handler, which is played by Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson's character, and she's been trained to fucking be an assassin, fucking killer, skilled in different martial arts, knives, guns, all type, basically like the fucking female Punisher. And she does a mission, and she kills like this Yakuza boss. Not a spoiler, because that's right in the fucking beginning. And she doesn't feel well after, and she realizes that she's been poisoned. Well, she finds out because she goes to the doctor, and they fucking tell her she's been poisoned with some lethal shit that's uncurable. So right there in the beginning, you realize, oh shit, like this chick really is gonna fucking die. So she has the doctor diagnoses that she has about 24 hours to live. So she decides to use that last 24 hours to find to go after the Yakuza and find the motherfucker who poisoned her. And what ensues after that is just a fucking onslaught of Kate killing the shit out of, basically her walking into places like, where's such and such? I don't know. Beating the shit out of people. And of course, it's a dope movie in the fact too that it's not like some perfect movie where she just goes in and she doesn't get hurt. No, she gets fucked up a lot in this movie. Like, eye busted, shot, stab, all type of shit while she's battling and trying to. And that's crazy. I did all that without actually spoiling anything. There's a couple of twists in the movie, of course, but I highly recommend it. I gave that shit a 10 out of 10. It's a fucking dope-ass movie.
Well, you heard it here, guys. Definitely check out Kate from Mary Elizabeth Weinstein and Weinstein.
The only thing I will say is that Woody Harrelson's not in it as much as you would think he is. Like he's in the trailer, but he's in it, but not as much. So like if you go in like, oh man, Woody Harrelson, don't get too excited because he's not in the movie that much.
Here's what I'll say is that what is a old designer or artist or graphic designer, whatever you may call yourself these days, a trick that you can find about how important a character is in a story is if you look at the poster, the hierarchy of how big somebody is in the poster makes a big difference of how important they are. If you're standing right, and if you're the same level as the main hero and you're the same as big as him, go back to any poster you look at and see like if the villain is just as big as the hero and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, I think about the Shang-Chi poster when you said that because Shang-Chi is right in the middle and his dad is like a shadow on top of him, which actually makes sense for the way they designed that poster because his shadow has been like because his dad has been like over his life.
Let's just look at the hierarchy of how people are set up in there, and it tells sort of the story of how significant this character would be. Like Kate's character is like in the movie a lot for Shang-Chi, but at the same time in the poster she is smaller than him in the poster. If you look at the Kate poster, like Woody Harrelson is a smaller character in there, and in the movie he's also a smaller character. I didn't even see it, but just me knowing that information about how posters are set up usually, that gives me an idea of like,
and his character is kind of like, he knows what happened to her, and he's kind of like, you need some help, and she's kind of like, I'm good, like I'm gonna do shit myself.
if anybody hasn't seen it, let me just go ahead and point that out there.
Yeah,
a poster.
And then I'll just leave the other girl as a mystery because that's kind of a spoiler. If I feel like if I dive into who she is.
But check that out. Which, in terms of the hierarchy, who's the biggest character in this poster?
Oh yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
And followed by the girl that you said that there's a mystery about, and then this tiny ass little picture of Woody Harrelson. It tells the tale of any like I can use like I'll use Star Wars. I'm gonna pull up the Star Wars Force Awakens one. Let me see, Star Wars Force Awakens. I know everybody loved that movie. Force Awakens. Force Awakens was good. It's the Last Jedi that we don't talk about. Check this out. Boom. Wait a second, man. Looks like Rey is right there. So is Kylo Ren. So is Finn.
They're like, but if you look at Rey and Finn, they're kind of neck and neck, like they're almost equals. They're letting you know that
guy, right?
That one side is light, one side is dark. So
now wait, here's something funny too. If you look closely at the bottom there, I don't know if you can see that there. It's not focusing, but right there down at the bottom, right by the Star Wars, there's Captain Phasma. How important was she in this movie, Ronnie?
yeah.
Nah, this ain't
Talk about like hype though. I was excited for her character, but she didn't really do anything.
Yeah, like I mean, she didn't do anything. So it's like you can kind of that's a hidden secret within
But
film
wait,
posters.
you know who did do a lot of stuff? This guy here, Black Star, because he's the greatest warrior in the world.
Yeah, you love those characters that are.
I love the character. He's. I call him the young Vegeta because he just thinks he's the most powerful character in the world. And for the most part, if you ever watch Soul Eater, well, you watched Soul Eater before audience. For the most part, he backs up a lot of shit that he says.
Doesn't Vegeta do that?
Yeah.
Other than when
especially in Super. Yeah, you got to catch up with Super because Vegeta is hilarious in Super. Like, there's a character that not even a spoiler, but there's a character that there's a character he fights that fights Goku, and he beat Goku through cheating, and then he fights Vegeta, and then Vegeta like literally beats this guy with one hit. I'm like, and it's funny. It's funnier for the audience because Goku was kind of playing around when he was fighting this guy. You know how Goku has a tendency not to use his full potential, but it's like a funny meta joke for the audience because then this guy gets in there against Vegeta, and then the villain is kind of playing around, and you, the audience, realize that now he's fighting someone who's not playing. so you don't fucked up.
Wait, it's one of those you don't fucked up, right?
You don't fucked up, right? This guy ain't playing no games.
This game ain't playing no games. So with that said, I would say the last segment of the show that we can bring to definitely go out and watch Kate. I know I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, Kate is on Netflix now.
The last part that I wanted to touch upon, actually, before we jump into wrestling, because that's what's going to take us home, we had another segment that we've been doing on the Zoom edition that we didn't start the show off with, but we can, go through it pretty quickly in terms of what we call the man.
Yeah, oh God. I thought that. I was like, yeah, because I have Black Star here. Even though he wasn't a mail call, I just have him sitting on my desk.
This is one of my mail calls. Bam! That right there. Look at that. You see that? That's a Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah, got the Hangman Adam Page.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a cool one. That's the
one with the picture, and he's got the little flag on there. The character right now, or the guy that is Adam Page, is actually, I believe he just had his first kid, so that's why he hasn't been around on wrestling. But he was kind of in line going towards like fighting Kenny for the title, which would have been great. But that's
right. Look at how smooth they did that too. They switched up the storyline, and we didn't even realize it.
It was so smooth. Damn, that shit was like the Quiet Storm. Like that shit was smooth.
Oh, mail call. Speaking of that, I think I showed you this the other day, but woohoo! Got that die-cast cap, and this set actually has some weight to it. Like this thing is pretty heavy. Definitely the heaviest pop I own, but it comes in like this glass.
Wait. Let me ask you. Have you touched it? What does it feel like?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely have. Yeah. It comes in this case, and like I looked up to catch the restock, which lasted all but like 50 seconds on.
Oh, it's stuck on the case.
But yeah, he's stuck. You can take. It comes in a clear case that you can see through.
No, I mean, like,
oh yeah, you can take him off. The funny thing is, because I was telling Joe, I put him on here, but I don't exactly know how to get him back off. He can come off. I just haven't figured out how, so I don't want to break it. So I just left it on for now until I watch a YouTube video or something to figure out how to. Oh wait, no, there we go. Hey, I figured it out. Hey, look at that. Yeah, he comes up, but this thing has some massive weight to it. It's not like your regular Funko.
That's amazing that they would use him as well, because like Captain America is an old style toy, So it is definitely like it makes sense to have
he would get the first diecast because because now we got Batman. Batman's getting his, which probably I know today was Batman Day, so he's probably gonna get released either tomorrow or Monday.
Oh yeah, I forgot. This is as we're recording this. It is Batman Day.
I honestly didn't even know that. I saw like some hashtags somewhere like, oh, Batman Day. Okay.
Batman's like 80. I want to say he's at least like 83, 84. I want to say
something along those lines. He's an old ass man. You got any more? I got one more really cool one, and that's about it.
Yes, that does make sense. Now I was trying to find it. This is how nerdy. This is me adding my extra nerd. Diecast toys were made before World War II and are difficult to find in good condition because of all the metals that are put together. So literally, the first Funko Pop that's made out of die-cast metal is a character from that period of time.
That is awesome. That is super meta.
Like we're going to use a character, and then wait, let me guess, another character that's the second one, Batman. Batman's also from that day and age as well. He's not that much, actually, if I remember correctly. Batman came before Captain America. Captain America was I want to say the late 30s, early 40s, and so was Batman. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Batman was like 36, 37.
I mean, given the pandemic and stuff and shipping, you never know. Batman might have been the one they wanted to do first, but production might have shifted, so they did Cap first.
Well, I think personally they probably wanted to wait until Batman Day had happened and everything. Oh, I'm sorry. Batman is 1939. He was cover date was made. Release date was May 30th, 1939, with Detective Comics number 27. You got that book, right?
Yeah, I actually got 3 copies.
Yeah. There's a first. Okay. That's first appearance for. Let me just check in terms of years. First appearance, Captain America. I want to say that was the 40s.
I want to say if I had a couple of of first appearance of Captain America, I think I'd be in a pretty big mansion right now. I got 10 copies of first appearance of Captain America laying around right now.
1941, yeah. So I remember he was early 40s, like World War II, and then Batman and Superman was before. Superman's first, then Batman, then Captain America. So I wouldn't be surprised if they follow suit, and after Batman comes Superman, and then if they really wanted to do it really nice since it's diecast, I don't know if they make it yet, but I would do the early Superman.
It looks like now it's just me, but the diecast Batman they have coming out, to me it favors Michael Keaton's Batman. To me, yeah. It favors Michael Keaton's Batman, and he's holding the Batarang. So
yes, I agree with that. I think that I'm looking at the picture now. Yeah, it definitely looks more like the 1989 Batman.
Which would actually make a lot of sense, being that was the first Batman movie. So that would make a lot of sense. Besides the Adam West stuff. Yeah, but they have the 2-pack coming too, Batman. I don't know if you saw the poster, but they have the 2-pack.
What am I talking about? You saying it like it is the 1989 one.
Oh, it is. Wow, look at that.
That's official.
That goes to show you that that they did a good job, because I didn't even know that. But they also it's funny that they're doing that, because they're also making a 2-pack with 1989 Batman and Joker.
Joker, right?
But specifically Joker with the feather for the first movie. I was telling Jill because she never saw the first Batman with Michael Keaton, and I was like, oh my god, so you don't know what that feather represents, because he literally kills the shit out of the mayor in broad fucking daylight with that feather.
Oh snap! I was like, wow, did he just?
I was like, what a bold statement in that first Batman movie. He killed the shit out of this guy in broad daylight in front of cops, like in front of mad people. If you remember. Remember, you know, because the mayor was giving a speech, if I'm not mistaken, and then he comes out of nowhere, like talking shit, and like killed shit out of him with the feather.
Wait,
I actually have that picture. I was hoping maybe one day to get it signed by Jack Nicholson.
Well, oh, that particular picture?
Yeah, I actually have like a nice high resolution. I believe it's an 11:17 picture of the Joker holding that feather.
I just looking that up. I'm like, wow. You know what's funny? The Joker actually killed Heath Ledger's Joker. Also killed a mayor too. I didn't even realize that. I was just like, oh, they just always have the Joker in these movies seem to kill like a really important person. Like he killed the commissioner, and this, or he thought he killed Commissioner Gordon when they were doing that parade scene. And they like tricked him or whatever. My next mail call is Jungle Boy.
Hey, that's one of my favorites from AEW.
I'm like, this is again AEW, man. I can't say enough of the simple fact that not only from a standpoint of I'm a collector of toys, as you guys may or may not know, but I'm a collector of toys and specifically action figures, and I will say the regular version of the AEW toys made by Jazzware are the same equivalent in terms of articulation and design and detail as the ultimate versions, or let me say it correctly, ultimate of the WWE branded one, which comes in a red and white package. But the ultimate version of those cost more money than these. I did notice something that also shows that WWE is intimidated by AEW, even though they'll never admit it. But I also noticed the fact that since these guys come out in most places you go to, they're about $20. I've noticed that the regular elites have actually dropped in price down to about $16, depending on which one you're getting.
so you'll be more inclined to pick it up.
So yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like WWE is like, oh, you going for a product that's going to be the same price as us? We're going to drop our prices.
Yeah, let's drop it down a few bucks so you can. That's hilarious.
They can afford to do it because they have there's two main lines to WWE toys, which is the basic line, which is $10, and then you have the elite line or the Legends line, which is like
it comes in a fancier box.
It's not really a fancy box. It's like a white box or whatever.
It's fancier than the $10 version. I'm talking about the
$10 version is plastic on a card. You know, it's on a card for any. I personally, as a collector, hate the ones on the card because I just can't. I don't know the people who are out here trying to keep the card perfect, but that's the corners get. Forget.
Yeah, everything gets all jacked up. Sometimes they even come like that when they're in the store.
I'm a person who opens my boxes. So I'll show you here. I can't really get it all to the camera. This trash bag right here is nothing but a bag full of empty packages for various. Somebody would be like, no! Well, because I opened my toys. I gotta let them breathe, man. Like I didn't know these.
Well, yeah, that's why I have. Well, or you could be like me. That's why, like, in terms of my Funkos, I will just buy two. Like I buy one that I can keep too. You know, one I can keep in the box and one I can take out.
So it's your turn. Do you have anything else from mail call, or I'll go?
Well, keeping up with the nostalgia, I got one more. I looked up to get this puppy. I don't know if you can see it. It's Super Shredder. Hey, they got the
from, Hot Topic.
I got it. Picked it up at Hot Topic. It's not like a Hot Topic exclusive or anything. They just happen to have it. But it's the juiced up. It's Shredder on the juice from the second movie when he was all jacked up. I'm like,
squeezing the juice.
I want to get Razor and Toka now. Like that's the only ones I need now from this. And he was like, they're babies.
They're very, very hard to get for sure. In both NECA and within Funko Pop form. They're just
I'm still waiting. The second I see him, I'm gonna snatch him up.
Well, this is my third one here, which I know you also got as well, so we don't have to both show it, but I got this guy here. I want you to acknowledge.
Well, look, it's funny because you got him there. I got him here. You have him in the box. I took him out of the box. Take a look.
You took him out of the box.
I took him.
You don't acknowledge me, Ronnie.
No, you got. It's more like this. You got to do it like this. Get him real close in the camera. Acknowledge.
I'll tell you right now.
It's okay, Markell. It's okay. Acknowledge. Just acknowledge me.
Right here is going to be the cover photo of this episode on YouTube. I guarantee you. That's right there with the toy in there. Now,
acknowledge.
We're going to call this episode.
Acknowledge me.
Hashtag acknowledge me. Cute.
And they even got the belt. I'm glad they got the belt right too, because sometimes they get it wrong. But it's actually blue. It's the Universal title, so that's very accurate.
So with that said, I think our last segment was actually around. It's perfect, absolute perfect segue. It almost seems like we've been doing this for a while. Our last segment is going to be wrestling.
Wrestling, a little bit of that wrestling.
Some big things that have happened in wrestling. One of the biggest things that happened this past week in wrestling was one of our favorite teams in WWE, the New Day, has crowned another WWE World Champion. So apparently the New Day is not good enough for the Universal titles, but they can pick up the WWE.
I mean, not yet.
So Kofi, back in 2019 at WrestleMania, defeated Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship, and now Big E has cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to defeat none other than another black man, Bobby
Lashley. Which also, I would say that even though they made it predictable as shit because they posted a bunch of stuff about Big E cashing in and all that stuff, I'll give them all the props in the world, mostly because of the fact that I'm pretty sure that most people realize we ain't never had this many black champions in a long, like, what, I want to say this last 2 years or 3 years, we have seen more black champions, and I'm like, yo, what is going on in creative? Is y'all sick, or is y'all actually giving opportunity? What's going on?
I think what it comes down to is that when you start to do this is what it is laughable. When you start to create social media tracks and you start talking about the history of the WWE title and the Universal title is not that old, but the WWE title, and somebody started doing the list and going, wait a second, let me pull it up here. Okay, so let me see how many. You guys know we have only had The Rock as the world champion.
The Rock is the only black champion.
He's only a black champion. They're like, that's impossible. Go over the list again. No, let me see. Let me carry the two.
You're like JBL, Triple H, John Cena, AJ Styles. You're like, and then look, there's somebody goes, does Roman Reigns count? Like, oh man, he's not black. He's Samoan. He's brown, but he's Samoan.
Samoan. It's like, oh, okay. So what you're saying is like, we should probably try to, who do we have? Like, that's what they said. Who do we have? We've got Cedric Alexander. We got Shelton Benjamin. We can call MVP. He's been trying to get a job with us again.
Wait. Then somebody stops him. And they're like, wait, we have more than 2 black wrestlers?
They only got 2 black females, right? Bianca Belair and Naomi. It is funny too.
Oh well, no, they have the other chick. I forget her name. They have the other chick in NXT with the dreads. I forgot. Ricochet's girlfriend's best friend. I forget her name right now. Sorry, but she's another one.
Let me see if.
And I think she's another student of Booker T's too, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna pull up the list of people that I know from NXT. Been a wrestling fan for over 30 years. I don't know anybody. Hey, there was a dude with a mustache that got married this week.
But you think about it too, like, yes, this is definitely like, I will give WWE and wrestling. I don't even just say WWE. I'll say wrestling organizations in general, because they've definitely been more diverse than ever. Like in this last, I want to say 5 to 10 years, because like especially WWE, because if you think once upon a time ago, you would be like, how many black wrestlers, and you be like, Bobby Lashley. And that's it. That's what you'd be like, oh, well, we got Bobby Lashley. It's like, I mean, now, yeah, you got Shelton Benjamin, you got Cedric Alexander. Look at this, Cedric Alexander, the Street Profits. Like, yeah, you can name a lot of black people, and you're like, oh, wow.
But what you're realizing is that all the people you were saying have been the champion within the last year.
Yeah.
At one point in time, we literally had Street Profits and New Day trade title belts because they were drafted to different shows. That was at one point in time. So it was like,
and remember, I said that then. I said, this is good. This is great, because, we never know when we're going to see this again. So, yeah, that's why, I know you make fun of me sometimes. I'm like, I kind of embrace it and actually applaud it, because I don't know when I may see it again. So, eat it up.
I'm going to lean in and tell you something, okay? You ready? I'm going to tell you something, right? It ain't no coincidence that they had a bunch of minority champions when there wasn't no audience. Look how many of them are still the champion when the audience came back. I'm gonna just slide back over here. When it okay. That's what I'm gonna say. It's just like you notice that they literally were more experimental with their matches and titles when nobody was in the room to watch.
It makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. Now audiences are back, and we got Becky Lynch again.
They squashed Bianca.
Wait. And then on the other side, it's like, audiences are back. Brock Lesnar. Wait, if you really want to think about it from a funny standpoint, oh wait, we got audiences again? Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor, both coming after the minority at the same time. We gonna need that title back.
I just want to see what happens at Crown Jewel. That's all. Now, personally, for me, I don't think just talking about that for a second. The Big E won the title, and that's absolutely wonderful, and we congratulate him. I'm very afraid of the storylines that they're going to put him in as the champion, but we'll see what happens. Next week, because WWE at this point is fighting desperately to keep strong numbers, Roman Reigns is going to make, I want to say, his first appearance on Raw. Has he been on Raw since he came back?
No.
Yeah. So
no, remember, because he was back when Drew McIntyre was champion. Remember, he was making fun of him, saying like, you the fill-in champion. I'm the real champion. Take your ass back to Raw. So yeah, we haven't seen Roman on Raw since. So it would be cool if he did fight. Well, if Raw was good, they could have rekindle that again and have. Now here's some good storytelling that's probably not going to happen for Raw, which is Roman Reigns is coming to Raw. You could have Drew McIntyre show up, challenge him to a match again. It is your opportunity to have either Finn Balor or Brock Lesnar or both interfere with that match and have and cost Roman a match against Drew McIntyre, which would kind of be revenge for Drew McIntyre if you go back to the match they had together.
Well, Drew McIntyre is not in that picture anymore, so I'm sorry to tell you, but he's going to be fighting with the Usos against the New Day.
Okay, that's whack and pointless, because I mean, clearly, I remember if we stick to consistent writing, the message was that Drew McIntyre couldn't challenge for the title as long as Bobby Lashley was the champion. Bobby Lashley isn't the champion anymore, so if you really wanted to shake things up a little bit, you could have Roman come out there talking about acknowledge me on Raw and all that stuff, and Drew McIntyre could show up, because the last time these two guys were in the ring, if you remember, there was some cheating that took place, and Roman Reigns beat him in their match when it was champion versus champion. So see how that's kind of consistent.
Okay,
see how that makes sense.
Before you jump into that, what you are failing to realize is that in about 2 weeks is a draft. So that's not that hard. That's not too far fetched. It's a draft in like 2 weeks. So it's clear that one or two things could happen with the draft. Either one of the that whole thing with Drew McIntyre getting drafted to SmackDown, and then them trying to rekindle the because you also have to remember two things. In terms of consistent storytelling, the person that Drew McIntyre beat to become the world champion was Brock Lesnar. So if he came through there, he could also be looking at Brock Lesnar like, oh, I ain't seen you since I whooped your ass like a year ago. So it's kind of that kind of storytelling there of like.
Well, you could do that.
No. The reason I say that is that I personally don't think Roman Reigns is going to lose the title this year, even though Brock is back. Some bullshit is going to ensue to make sure that Brock Lesnar doesn't win that match by anything other than just.
I know it's all speculation, or it could pull an Alexa Bliss back when Alexa Bliss was her old dope persona. They could pull an Alexa Bliss, but Roman drops the title to Brock, or Finn. I'm not gonna count that out. Gets drafted to Raw and beats Big E and becomes champion again. I don't know if you remember that, because back I will give WWE credit and say back a few years ago when it was still pretty interesting to watch, there was literally they literally had Alexa Bliss lost the SmackDown title. I think it was to Bayley or somebody. She lost. It was either Bayley or
Monday. She was
she lost and then she got drafted to Raw, and she beat Bayley. Bayley was on Raw. And she literally won the Raw Women's title the first night that she came to Raw. So, if they wanted to be a completely, if you want to really upset the audience and make him an asshole, you could have Brock or Finn defeat Roman, have Roman get drafted, and have this man acknowledge me and beat Big E and be champion again. And then have another dominant run on Raw as the WWE champion.
And then what do you do with Big E?
He goes back to the New Day. When the pancakes. I'm just saying, New Day are my boys, but they never, I feel like New Day is starting, that's probably why they're trying to do the solo runs with them, because they are getting to the point, like Randy Orton and Cena, everybody else, were they kind of have done everything and had every title. At this point now, the only person who hasn't been world champion is Xavier Woods, and I feel like I definitely do see that for him in the future. So, because his wrestling, his in-ring wrestling, fighting skill have definitely sharpened over the years. So,
I'm gonna put it this way. I think in the draft, what they're gonna do this time around is Kofi. They're gonna create a new dynamic, which is Kofi and Big E are gonna be on Raw, and Xavier is going to be on SmackDown by himself.
You think they're gonna? Yeah. Oh yeah, they could potentially do that. Yeah, I could see that happening.
I see Xavier Woods going down the track of feuding with somebody like Shinsuke or Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental title. It's about time for him.
Or Baron Corbin.
Jesus Christ.
Because Baron Corbin, they literally just don't ever do anything with this guy.
Baron Corbin is the worst wrestler WWE has right now.
Oh wait, and then I can't let the wrestling segment end without switching over to AEW, which is CM Punk got his first ass whooping this past week by Hobbs, Taz's boys. I didn't think that was gonna happen so soon. I thought CM Punk was gonna have a nice run of fighting different people, get a couple wins under his belt. Nah, they said, homie, we're gonna break you in real quick.
That's what I love. I love that dynamic of welcome to AEW. It's like you.
Yeah, that's basically what that's to. I was putting that to the table, like, well, welcome.
When he's looking up at the lights and he's realizing that they looking down on him, and it's like, oh, you said you were the first ones we were the first ones you wanted to fight. You have no idea what you got yourself into.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that whole thing, and like what's cool in their storytelling is, AEW is big on factions. But what happens when it comes to factions is that you also get a couple of matches out of factions. For instance, like Jericho was able to fight, and he had MJF and Wardlow, even though they're part of the Pinnacle, and he had two other matches that was in there. At the same time, CM Punk is about to go through Team Taz, where he's going to fight Ricky Stark, he's going to fight Hook, and he's going to fight Powerhouse Hobbs. Like he's fighting Powerhouse Hobbs this coming Wednesday. He's fighting him. And
also we'll see, I feel like we get to see, too, who may actually come to the aid of CM Punk, too, because when he got beat up, I thought somebody was going to show up to help. Nobody showed up to help. So I was like, oh, shit, okay.
I mean, it's one of those things where as long as, like, this is, like, he just got there, so his first set of allies is Sting and Darby, but you also have to remember Sting and Darby also have their own fights going on.
Well, yeah, they have their own shit going on, so they can't be trying to watch his back.
So I mean, they can try.
And then they both got beat up, too. It was kind of like the night of good guys getting their asses whooped because Sting and Darby got beat up. And they got kind of humiliated a little bit because they wiped the paint off their face.
FTR did that, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, that hurt my heart so much for both of them because I'm like, I know what the paint means to them. But you know what is funny? When I grab my chest, I'm watching AEW and I feel something. When I don't watch WWE, I'm
Oh, and don't forget, what was it? I know, like, fast tracking, but what was it? Penta and what was it? And Ray Phoenix, that match where he like sacrificed his mask with that super kick for the win. That was pretty dope.
Yeah. Are you talking about what the match they just had on Rampage, or were you? Yeah. Which again, I absolutely love. I'm not going to now because of the timing of things. But I was gonna go to one of his meet and greets that he's having over in Queens, but it just conflicts with something else in my schedule, so I can't go to it. But
is that soon? Is that coming up soon?
That's the 19th.
Yeah. Oh shit! That's like tomorrow, isn't it? Oh yeah.
So
I'm like, that's like tomorrow. Like, yeah, it is tomorrow.
It's conflicting with something else in my schedule, so I'm just like, you know what? No, I'll stick with what I was gonna do, and then I can catch him another time. He'll do other like meet and greets and stuff like that. I love about plenty people too is that they do meet and greets, and if you check on my Instagram, you'll actually get a chance to see that I was down at Prudential Center to meet with some of these guys on this past Wednesday because our hometown, Newark, New Jersey, actually hosted the first ever AEW Dynamite in Newark, New Jersey.
At the Prudential Center.
And actually, take it a step further, this was the first time AEW has had their wrestling in New Jersey at all.
So I mean, remember they were supposed to have Bad Blood here like a year ago.
Blood and Guts.
Oh, Blood and Guts like a year ago, but then the pandemic happened. So
which was cool because your Blood and Guts ticket actually did get you into this Dynamite if you wanted to use it.
Yeah.
So that was cool. The next place that they're going is Queens, to the Arthur Ashe Stadium or something. It's a newly renovated place that they're going to. The same time last Friday, SmackDown went to Madison Square Garden, which was nice. They haven't been there in a long time. Just quickly running through this past Friday, Bianca Belair and what's her name? Becky Lynch had words.
She had like a homecoming because she went back to her hometown in Knoxville, because she's from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And Knoxville County Mayor is none other than Hall of Famer Kane, one of my favorite wrestlers.
Which is like, what is the coincidence of that? Like, that's like Bianca Belair is from Knoxville, Tennessee. and then you have Kane being able to like give her the key to the city and stuff, and induct her. That was pretty dope. That was dope. I didn't like how they had Becky Lynch beat her up in her hometown. I'm never a fan of that. I don't know why. Like that goes back to the days of like when they had Bret Hart lose the title to Shawn Michaels in his hometown. Like I've never really been a fan of that because I put myself in their shoes.
It's a Montreal screw job, sir.
Yeah, I put myself in my shoes. Put myself in their shoes. Like if I was a wrestler, a boxer, or whatever, I'm not trying to lose in my hometown. So if I was a boxer, I was like, where's the match going to be? Oh, it's going to be at the Prudential Center in Newark. I'd be like, I'm not defending the title there. You'd be like, wait, what? It's like, nah. Because if I lose, I'm not losing in my fucking hometown. Nah, I'm not doing that. Like, well, you know what? I'll say, let's go over to MSG and I'll fight there. Because I'm not going to lose. I'm not trying to have that stain on myself. Just me personally, I wouldn't. Like, I know that Bianca probably agreed to that and she was okay with it because they did the little hip rally and things earlier. I don't know. That's just. I still have a bad taste in my mouth for what they did with Charlotte Flair and Nikki Cross with her short-lived title run where they had her running her around like, "Wham, my daddy," and I was like, "Yo, what is going on? What is going on?" And that's that for those who don't know, that was a reference for the Big Boss Man. Rest in peace. Went back when they had the crazy storyline where he was talking about Big Show's like their dad. He was like, "Wham, my daddy." I was like, wow, they really make storylines like that. Like fucking crazy.
They don't do that anymore, man. Now they I'll go ahead and
What you mean they don't do that anymore? Remember one of the last things they did with the Riot Squad before they broke them up, which they had the fucking Riot Squad making fun of Natty's dad? Like that was like some recent.
That was tasteless. Like it wasn't entertaining.
Yeah, like I don't do that. Like I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they do that, and I don't like when they have like somebody get humiliated or lose in their hometown. Like, come on.
I agree.
Or beat up.
I think for me, WWE has proven to be not the thing that entertained me in terms of wrestling. I will continue to pay attention to it because I've been a long-time fan for over 3 decades. I will still pay attention to the stories that they're telling. But I realized a long time ago, more than a year ago, that this I'm gonna just be as ghetto as I could possibly be. This shit ain't made for me.
Yeah, the product is not what it used to be. It's not made for me. It's not. The product's not what it used to be. I mean, yeah, just like you. Like I'll tune in and keep myself updated, but yeah, it's not. I can't say I'd say besides the Cena coming back, like I haven't had that goosebump feeling in a really long time. Like, oh my god! Even when Brock Lesnar came back, which is a wrestler that I actually like, I thought, oh shoot, they brought back Brock, and then I went there. Who's that? Jaleel White with the WWE title? Let me stop.
The money in the bank.
Oh man.
Sometimes the likeness is great, and sometimes the likeness is this. You know, it's good enough. You know, it's good enough. It's funny that like with the action figure they made him. It's more similar to the way he is now because he shredded a little bit of pounds. Like he kept a lot of the muscle or whatever, but he definitely got into a little bit of Braun Strowman shape that he.
Oh yeah, I'm glad that it's awesome that we got to meet them too. I still remember the day that I met them. They're like, "Oh, looking sharp, brother, looking sharp," because I was wearing a suit because I had came from a funeral, so I was wearing like a suit shirt, and I remember Big E being like, "Okay, player, okay, what you come from? You come from a date or a job interview?" I was like, "Oh no,"
because you know you ain't dressed up for them like that.
Yeah. I remember that. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment because my Xavier Woods Funko Pop is signed by him. No, my Kobe Kingston Funko Pop is signed by Kobe Kingston and Xavier Woods because Xavier Woods wasn't paying attention when he was signing. He was talking and his head was turned. So he signed the Kobe Kingston one, and then Kobe pointed out, "Man, you ain't even paying attention. That's me." And he was like, "Oh, my bad." And then he looked at me like, "Oh, for reassurance, like, oh shit, sorry." And I was like, "All right, it's all good. It's all good."
It's literally signed, but you got a free autograph from him on another toy. So
and you remember that? Because I remember they said it was like a 2-person limit. Like it was like you can only sign 2 things, and I was like, but I have 3 pops, and there's 3 of them. Like how did that make sense?
And they signed all of them, right?
Yeah, they signed all of them. Like, how does that make sense?
The dumbest shit. Like, I hate when they have those rules at the events and stuff. Like again. I'll put it to you this way. Anytime I go to a comic book signing, I always bring more books than they say I can bring.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm in front of the celebrity, and for me, 9 times out of 10, I find that most of the like celebrities that you're meeting, the writers and artists or talent or whatever, they see you have the work. That means that you paid money for it at some point in time, and they want to sign it for you. Plain and simple.
Yeah, pretty much. You're like, hey, you know what? I don't have a problem with this. I'll sign it on.
One of my favorite comic book stores to get signatures at, like one of my favorite comic book stores in general was Fortress of Solitude in Newark. But one of my favorite places to go to for autographs, because they always have signings or they're starting to have it now, again, is Midtown Comics. But the one thing I find is so funny about Midtown Comics is that they really do try to keep to the limit. And I always break their limit.
Yeah.
And I don't try to do it just out of like spite. It is more like they say 3 book minimum. I bring 6. Like I don't go, let me bring a long box and hold up the line and have them.
Well, I mean that was back in the day because I remember back in like 2010. That wasn't that long ago, like maybe 10 years ago. But I can remember going to Comic-Con in the early days of 2010 and standing in line for like 2.5 hours because, you know, the guy 2 people in front of me just brought a long box and he's just like, sign it right here and right here and right here. And you're like, oh. And I know, you know, it's funny. Next time we interview a comic book person, I want to ask them like, were you when they pulled out that long box in front, how did that make you feel? Were you like, hey, yeah, like why did I agree to do this signing when I get out of here?
That's why they got handlers, man. They got people to come in there and make it so that they don't have to be mean to you. Somebody.
Oh well, yeah. Well, see that makes a lot of sense now and nowadays too. Why they limit books or charge you, you know, a small fee per book because it's like, well, you want that whole long box? Okay, that's $15 each book, and it makes you rethink it. Like,
you wind up getting what you want to do is you get a bunch of people who be like, oh yeah, I brought $300 so you can.
Yeah, actually, I actually imagine you're like, actually, I got 2,000 on me. I probably have to go to ATM, but yeah, I want you to sign them all. They're like, oh, nah.
But with that said, that will end our wrestling segment and bring our show to a close. Close. And in scene. Guys, if you liked what you heard here and you enjoyed our conversations, please do us a favor, like and subscribe, hit that notification button, make it so that you can hear more of this, and we'll keep doing the show for you. We're still gonna have these conversations forever and a day. As long as we have a voice to speak, you're gonna hear us talk about this stuff.
You can hear us on SoundCloud, not just YouTube, but you can follow us on SoundCloud, Apple. Wait, what do they call it now? Now they call it Apple Podcasts because I'm always like iTunes, but they don't call it that anymore.
Apple Podcasts, right? All of them, we're all available there. Anchor is a big one that we love for you to go to. That definitely helps us out a lot. We are sponsored on there, so you can definitely go on there and support us that way. But if you love the video version that we just started doing now for 2021, this is our Zoom episodes. And at this point, I've lost count of how many episodes it is. It doesn't even matter at this point where we are because this is a special edition of the show. One day we will be back together again in person. And, you will get a chance to see.
I haven't seen this guy in person in years. It's been 84 years. Like Titanic, you know the Titanic meme. Like it's been 84
It's been
years.
84 years. It's like, come on, old lady, did you drop that multi-million-dollar diamond into the ocean? You must didn't love your family.
Yeah, like you could have fed a lot of people with that. A lot of homeless people could have eat off that.
Hey, guess what? Jack didn't have to die, Rose. Okay, she didn't have to die. All right, could have got on that damn door and been cool, but no, you want.
I mean, I don't fault him. You got to fault the dude that sped up the boat. This was all his fault, and he lived. That's the fucked up part about the movie. Like towards the end, when they're showing you the survivors, this motherfucker had the nerve to live.
What they should have showed was Kate with the chain, like choking him, like
yeah, sweet release. See, that was the after credits deleted scene where he's at home sleep and you see the window open. Kate comes through with with the cat burglar suit on. It's like, this is for Jack. It's like, no, sweet release.
We do what is essentially one of the darkest moments in the MCU, but they did it so quietly. And it's like, if it comes from Don Cheadle in Infinity War. He's like, if we could time travel, then why can't we just, find baby Thanos and it's so quiet, but he's literally talking about killing a baby.
I thought, you know what scene I thought you were talking about? Which has always been one of my favorite scenes, and it happens so quick. It's the scene where what do you call it? Who the hell is it? Oh, Rhodes gets hurt. It's the scene. It's in Civil War when Rhodes falls out the sky and he gets hurt, and Tony comes over and he's trying to make sure he's still alive. And wait, who was it? That
Falcon comes over.
Oh, Falcon comes over like, Tony, he blasts him before he can say anything else. That's always been one of my favorite moments. He's like, Tony, like repulsor blast before he can even say anything.
I don't know why, but I need to go back and see that. But in my head, every time I see that scene, I hear Tony saying, "You heard my friend, you son of a bitch." Like I don't.
That's probably because of Iron Man 3. Because remember, on the plane he said that when he was saying like when he was like, I could walk away because he had the extremist thing in him, and he did the repulsive blast through the chest, which is another dark moment in the MCU because he was like, walk away from that, you son of a bitch.
That's what it was. Okay, I'm combining moments.
Yeah, that's probably one of the darkest Tony Stark moments because he was like, well, walk away from that, you son of a bitch.
But hey, yo, did Tony Stark just murder somebody?
Yeah, he just like fatality.
Flawless victory. Well, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and take this episode on home. We do appreciate you, giving us your time and support and checking out this episode of the podcast. Listening to this segment. If you're breaking this up and going through the playlist, we appreciate it, all of it. But this guy right here, as always, I'm Markell.
And I'm Ronnie.
And this has been another Ronnie and Markell Make a Podcast Zoom edition.
Tune
in time, the same exact channel, be a different time. But most importantly, we appreciate you just hanging out with us, man. Thank you.
And the last thing I want to say, subscribe to our show and acknowledge him. Acknowledge.
A perfect way to end this.
Acknowledge.